Now it's time for Pound ATL.
What's going on, football fans? We're back live once again with another rendition of the Pound for Pound ATL. We got the OG crew, so to speak, up in here today. It's me, J.R. Clark, with my main man Toby D up there. We are in the month of football, Toby.
Yes, sir.
We have finally made it. We are in what I would consider to be, I guess, what should be week 4 of preseason kind of deal. So, I'm super excited. We're even closer now than we've been. It looks like we're actually going to get some real football this year, at least on the NFL level, and that has me all kind of excited. We started out last week. Well, I guess over the weekend we had a scrimmage down at Mercedes-Benz. That was last Friday, I think is what it was. And I really wish that they could have live streamed that scrimmage, for the people who wanted to see it. Because I really feel like in years past, that would have been a salute to service, kind of game. That would have been, you'd have paid your $5 and went down there and, watched them practice or whatever. So it's not like, I don't know, maybe I guess they were trying to simulate what it was going to be like to play without the fans. That's one thing that we kept hearing. So they were probably working on things such as, snap counts, hand signals, the quiet stuff, and maybe not necessarily wanting to broadcast that and give that kind of stuff away. But man, I sure would have liked to seen it.
Yeah, I mean, I would have liked to have seen it too, but I think it heightens the excitement of waiting for everything to unveil itself with Todd Gurley debuting for the Atlanta Falcons Hayden Hurst, and watching what Calvin Ridley is going to bring to the table. We obviously know what Julio Jones and Matt Ryan are going to bring to the table, but seeing those guys and what Dirk is actually going to do that very first game against Seahawks, I'm willing to wait.
No, I agree, and it will make that wait so much sweeter in a lot of ways. I mean, just that little clip you saw with Calvin Ridley catching that 34-yard touchdown pass from over the shoulder, beating AJ Terrell. That should, hopefully for some of the people who thought he was getting too much hype, maybe that'll take a little bit of steam off of AJ Terrell, realize that he is, human, so to speak. But it was really good to see. It seems like the offense is finally starting to click,
Oh yeah.
The first part of the camp, the defense was every day it was, a pick here, or, that would have been a sack, or, what have you. It seemed like the defense was really getting the best of the offense. But the last few practices they had, I don't know if it's by design, with the information that is coming out or whatnot, but it really seems like the offense is starting to really find its groove again.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think, it's usually that's how it is, man, with the defense being much faster paced than the offense is when they start in camp or whatever. So I wasn't surprised about that, but to see how they're clicking now with everyone in the mix, the running backs have really been standing out to me. I mean, all of them, from Todd Gurley, Quadre Olison, Brian Hill, Edo Smith, they're hitting the hole with more confidence now and a lot more authority. And that's what you want to see out of your running backs during the season.
Yeah, there was a real encouraging quote today, I believe it was, from Edo Smith. First, he was talking about how last year when he got injured and was missed time ended up being like one of the worst years of his life or whatnot, or of his football career, which was, interesting. To hear from him, you could really tell that he wasn't used to being sidelined like that.
Right.
And so, but he also made mention of how it really looked like the offensive line was heads and tails above where they were last year as far as the gelling and stuff went. So it's really good to hear that type of talk coming out of camp. especially, after giving up, 50 sacks that they gave up last year.
Right.
It really seems like Matt Hennessy is cemented as your starting left guard.
Yes, sir.
They haven't
Yes.
come out and said it yet, but they did make the statement that Justin McCray was going to be your backup center.
Mm-hmm.
So, with Hennessy being a center by trade, if he's not going to be your backup, it's probably because they have better designs for him as far as being a left guard to start his rookie campaign. So that was an interesting reading between the lines kind of thing there.
Yeah. Well, like I said before, when we was on the show together, all four of us, me, you, Jimmy, and Mike, that you had to have someone there for Matt Hennessy to beat.
Right.
And Matt Gano was the guy that earned the right for Matt Hennessy, for them to compare those two. And Matt Hennessy clearly is doing what you expect him to do as a third-round choice for the Atlanta Falcons.
Right. Exactly. He is coming in. What my tier of starters have always, or my tier of draft picks have always been, third round, from first, second, and third. Those guys should come in and start. If not right away, pretty solid as far as that goes. Let's jump into.
Let me ask you one thing before we get into the chat, because speaking of first, second, and third,
gotcha.
You and I, before we got on here, was talking about Marlon Davis's issue.
Oh, yeah.
How concerned are you about that leading up into the season?
I will say this, and it's something I tweeted out not too long ago. It may even have been yesterday or the day before. I'm really glad that we have the defensive line depth that we do this year, because it's now we're in about week 3, I think, of Marlon Davison missing time.
Yeah, he's missing time.
And, that for a rookie is kind of concerning. I mean, I know he is, getting in the classroom time, and there was a little blurb that came out like he was like a gnat at a barbecue, I think is what he said, as far as him trying to soak up, being around Grady Jarrett,
Yeah.
Which that's good. That's what you want. That's what you want to hear. That's what you want to see. You want to see these guys trying to soak in as much, knowledge as they can. But it is a little concerning to the fact that today, I think it was Dan Quinn who had to say he was close to being back, and then they were going to have to get him into basically game shape.
Right.
And get his conditioning up. That means he's been away or been out long enough to where they're worried about his conditioning.
Yeah.
And that worries me, in a sense. So, but it was something that you brought up before we got going. That opened up the window, so to speak, or truly opened up the door for John Kaminsky to really step in and continue to impress and turn heads. I feel like they felt good about what they had, which is the reason why they didn't re-sign Adrian Claiborne, in my opinion. But I think even more so now with Marlon Davison, kind of, having to get back into game shape or whatever. I think John Kaminsky's versatility is going to come in handy even more so.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
That's one of the, he's another guy that I'm really excited about this year is John Kaminsky, to see, like last year it was more running off of pure instinct, as far as and you could see that at times. So now I'm really interested to see what a off season of learning and off season of NFL nutrition and conditioning, what that does for him. So let's jump into chat real quick. Chat's not moving too much tonight, but that's okay. Maybe they'll pick it up here in a little bit. Speed Falcon for Life says, "What's up, guys? What's going on, Speed? How are you doing tonight, sir?" Chinsei says, "Yo, what's going on, Sensei? I said Chinsei." Jay Holland says, "Yo, what's up? What's up, Jay? Appreciate you dropping in, man." Speed Falcon says, "We are coming for the Seahawks." That we are. With Seahawks week 1, straight out the gate. Our guys, Jimmy and Mike, did a real good job. If y'all hadn't watched that video, talking about the upcoming game, and I know they're going to talk about it more as we get closer, as we're going to talk about it more as we get closer. But they did a real good job of an early preview of that matchup. Anthony Wright says, "What's going on, Toby D and JR?" What's up, Anthony?
What's up, Anthony Wright?
Jazzy Jeff says, "What's guys? Nothing but respect." What's going on, Jazzy? How are you doing tonight, sir? Bug says, "What's up, guys?" What's up, Bug? Sean Carter says, "Is Sheffield and AJ Terrell are they the two outside starting corners?" Sheffield had been he'd been kind of hurt, and he's just now kind of getting back into it. They spent a week or so playing him inside, but now they're talking about transitioning more back out to the outside obviously because of DeQuez Denard. I think he's your Lockett slot there. I don't know. It's that one outside slot is definitely going to be between Sheffield and Oliver.
Yeah. I think they want more speed all around with that nickel defense, man. And you did see Sheffield make some plays, on Julio and Calvin Ridley. And then you seen them get burnt just like AJ Terrell on Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley. But that's what you're going to see, because that's what it's all about, making adjustments. Once Julio and Calvin figure out how you playing them, they're going to make adjustments, which is the reason why I'm not too much on AJ Terrell, because he just defended Calvin Ridley with that fly route earlier in camp, and we don't know what adjustment Calvin made to get open the way he did on AJ Terrell the second time running that same route. So, she obviously got wide open because he got touchdown.
yeah, he did.
Yeah.
But hey, no, it's good. I'm glad that these guys get to go against Julio Jones and against Calvin Ridley. And I'm glad that a guy like a Russell Gage gets to go against a DeQuez Denard.
Right.
That's something that isn't talked about a ton. DeQuez Denard is a superior, nickel back, as far as a nickel corner. And he's going to make, guys like Russell Gage better. He's going to make, the guys who are jockeying for that slot receiver position, that third and fourth wide receiver position, he's going to make those guys better. So, man, I'm really digging the competitions, the daily competitions that we have going on at camp. Let's see. Fred Butt says, "I think the Falcons will explode and win it all this year." Fred, don't we all? We all think that before the ball gets snapped.
I would love it. I would love nothing less than to do it in a COVID-19 season.
That's right. Falcons, Hawks, Braves fan extraordinaire. He's got them all covered there. Except for Atlanta United. I don't see that in his tag. Maybe he'll change it. Anyway. He says, "What's cracking, my guys? What's going on there?" Charleston Nash says, "Whose jerseys have y'all or planning to get on the new jerseys?" Well, I've got one new jersey, but I got Matt Ryan. I was going to hang it up behind me back here, but it wasn't necessarily hanging the right way. So, but I've always felt safe about having a Matt Ryan jersey, because my big fear with those jerseys, boy, is you buy them and then next year those players aren't on the team no more. So, Matt Ryan, Julio Jones, and Grady Jarrett, I'm pretty safe on, I think. But I'm glad to have that. Do you plan on getting any of the new jerseys this year, Toby?
Calvin Ridley is still on my hit list.
Okay.
That's the jersey that I want. I was on that Calvin Ridley train before everybody started talking about Calvin Ridley. Is going to be able to do this and do that. I already had that pegged, and I'm going to get that Calvin Ridley jersey at some point, probably the second week of the season.
There you go. That'll work. All right. So, Yusuke Knight says, "Go Falcons, can't wait for the season." I know that's right. Woom Carter says, "Do you guys think the OC will get creative?" I hope. My jury's still out, but it sounds like he's more confident this year than he was last year. There have been some terms like between him doing interviews and Matt Ryan doing interviews. It seems like the the confidence level of what they're looking for is better, but I just don't have a ton of faith in the creativity of Dirk Cutter. You know, a lot of people may think I'm down on Dirk Cutter as an OC. I'm not necessarily down on Dirk Cutter as an OC, but I want a guy who can get creative, and I'm just not sure that Dirk Cutter is that guy. You know, he's a line up and beat you kind of guy, not out scheme you kind of guy. So,
well, I'll say this much to that. One of the things that did get me excited, which is something I haven't heard Dirk Cutter ever say since he's been with the Atlanta Falcons. He made a comment telling the offense, don't feel bad for the defense because we're whipping their ass in practice every day. Now, I ain't never heard Dirk say anything like that. And to hear that kind of fire coming out of him this year shows me that he's feeling very confident, like Matt Ryan is saying, in what he's going to be able to do in his offense. And you're seeing the connection so far in practice between his transitioning from the pass game and the run game seems to be working well right now, hand in hand.
Yes,
in these practices.
That I agree with. What the clips that we are seeing coming out of practice, it seems like the meshing of the run game and the pass game is working much better. And I wonder how much of that has to do with a guy like a Hayden Hurst, who is a more I don't want to sound like I'm trying to bash on Austin Hooper, but you know, Austin Hooper didn't really seem like he was that big in the run game, as to where Hayden Hurst seems to be more of a willing blocker.
Right.
At least from what we've seen. I mean, it's really hard to get a gauge on this stuff from 2 and 3 minute videos that the team is releasing that has been heavily edited or whatever. I tend to try to get my camp opinions from when we go up and watch them with our own eyes, you know. And without being able to do that this year, I found it much harder to believe everything I'm seeing, in a sense, because buddy, you can throw a highlight reel together and make just about anybody look good. You know what I'm saying?
You make me look good.
That's right. Hey, you put me in slow motion, I will look awesome. You know what I'm saying? Just as long as it's real slow. You know?
Yeah, TikTok me all day. We be good to go.
That's right. That's right. 15 seconds and I will look amazing. But so I'm really trying to key in on, like, what are the other players saying about each other?
Yeah.
Because, you know, coaches are one thing. I'm well documented on my opinion on coach speak. But players very rarely talk up other players if it's not warranted.
Right.
You know, with Ito Smith earlier talking about the offensive line looking like it's night and day different than the offensive line of last year. Those are the things I key in on. Or the glowing review that Grady Jarrett had for John Kaminsky, talking about he looks like a completely different player than last year. Like, it doesn't behoove Grady Jarrett to say that. Like it doesn't do nothing for Grady to say that. So for him to come out and say that Grady Jarrett's looking amazing, or they can really feel a difference of Dante Fowler, you know, his energy. Those are the things that I kind of key in on. Are any of those that you've picked up on?
Well, like I said before, Julio Jones don't put his name on anybody.
Mm-hmm.
And for him to give A.J. Terrell the praise that he's giving him in these practices, especially with him guarding Julio Jones, you know, they're battling.
Oh, yeah.
That says a lot to me about what A.J. Terrell could bring to the table for the Atlanta Falcons. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing him week 1 and how he handles somebody like Tyler Lockett. And what's his name? Metcalf.
Oh, DK Metcalf?
Yeah.
Yep.
So I'm looking forward to see how he handles those guys, man. And I think they got Marquise Goodwin too. So they got some speedy guys over there, and Metcalf is a big dude, man. It look like he got big.
He is a big fella. But I mean, Terrell's getting some good experience there by guarding Julio, because you know, Metcalf is I don't know if he's a freak like Julio, but He's that same body type, that big body wide receiver. Fred Butt says, do y'all think Cutter will have a very short leash this year? I don't think he will, because I don't get the sense that DQ is that kind of coach when it comes to the offense. If it was defense, maybe, but I even think he's learned his lesson there. I think DQ has finally realized that he just needs to be the head coach. Now, if they underproduce, everybody's gone, I think. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't think anybody has a long leash in that sense. So, anyway, Sean Carter says, Speed Falcon asked for some bold predictions, and we might get into that here in a little bit, but Sean Carter's bold prediction was that the Falcons will have a top 10 defense. Well, I mean, I hope so. That would be nice. Clarence Fisher says, Bruce Arians ripped his whole offense, says they suck. I don't know, that just seems like Bruce Arians, though. You know what I'm saying? That just seems like Bruce Arians' style. I think I heard him say that more than one year in Arizona with Carson Palmer. That just seems like his coaching style. Darius Rain says, I am so sick of that bubble screen. I can't say that I mean, I'm right there with you. I'm sick of it, but I mean, that's part of what Dirk Cutter sees as a run game.
Yes,
so,
sir.
You know, you're going to have to see it for at least one more year. The Falcons fan extraordinaire says, are the Falcons going to get anything out of Tack McKinley other than a lot of bark and not a whole lot of bite? That's going to remain to be seen. You know, he's dropped weight, and they seem to be doing load management for him this year. Heck, they seem to be doing load management for a lot of players this year. But they seem to be doing some load management, so if he can get a full healthy season out of Tack McKinley, you might see something. But I'm not expecting more than what you've already gotten out of him.
Well, we're going to find out week 1 against Seahawks, which is not far.
Yeah.
We'll see if that weight loss is going to help him, you know, be a little bit more able to do what he needs to do on that field. And he may feed well off of Dante Fowler. I believe he will. I hope he does, you know.
I hope so.
Speaking of Dante Fowler.
Oh, yep.
Dan Quinn came out and said he had, I guess, what we would consider a mild ankle sprain. He didn't go in and say if it was high or low. I hope it's neither one.
Yeah.
And
I hope
he's ready to go next week.
Right. I hope he just rolled it walking out the door or something, and he'll be good to go in next week or whatnot. But yeah, we're at the wrong end of camp for these guys to be starting to pop up with some braces, and like Julio Jones had a compression thing on his leg, today at practice, but he still practiced. So yeah, we're definitely at the wrong side of camp for all these little things to start popping up. But this is a sign that they're getting into actually tackling and hitting and, doing that kind of stuff, because that's when these little things do start popping up. So at this moment, I'll have to trust DQ and assume that he is telling the truth, even though he doesn't have a great track record of actually telling us, oh, it's nothing big, it's minor. 2 days later, that person's on injury reserve for the rest of the season.
Right.
I just keep more eye on a medical report than I do anything else about whether these guys are how hurt they actually are. William Paul says Falcons only have to have a top 15 defense to make a deep playoff run. I think if you can get the defense to be above average, so upwards 16 and up, and the offense to be above average, I think that we'll have a good season, in my opinion. Let's see. Anthony Wright says, Atlanta Falcons Nation. Oh, he is back because he had to step away for a minute. Okay, cool. Thank you for letting us know you had to step away. You didn't really miss much. Jay Holland says Goodwin, Marquise Goodwin's in Philadelphia, not Seattle.
Okay, in Philadelphia. Okay.
That'll work. Let's see.
They added someone else. So someone
Anthony Wright, he just said that. He said right up under that, he said, and the Seahawks just re-signed Paul Richardson.
Okay, they re-signed Paul Richardson. Right. Okay. Okay, that's not a scary threat.
No, that's not as scary. No.
Yeah.
Brian says Marquand Manuel did a great job in hindsight. Yeah, I think what got Manuel his job was you needed a scapegoat, and when those upper tier guys went down, it didn't seem like Manuel made much of an adjustment.
Yeah.
So I think those two things combined, but I think mainly Dan Quinn needed a scapegoat for that season. But I've said that before. Let's see. Brian says, but when I said trade tack, y'all said I was playing Madden. I don't know who this y'all he's talking to. Says trade tack, cut Carpenter, and sign Clowney. See, Brian, the only thing I'm gonna have to say there is I don't think you're gonna be much more impressed with Clowney than you are with Tack at this junction. I mean, Clowney's a big name because he was, such a high draft pick, but he hasn't necessarily produced a ton in his NFL career. Because I'm gonna go ahead and call it, if he had produced, he wouldn't be sitting at home right now.
Right.
It's as simple as that. Because if you produce, then whatever asking price that you're asking, somebody's gonna pay it. Whether it's a team like the Jacksonville Jaguars or the Cleveland Browns who got more money than they got since. But ain't nobody biting it at Clowney right at this moment. And we are, 9 days away from the actual kickoff of the season?
Mm-hmm.
And nobody's biting at Clowney? I'm not saying that he ain't worth it, but he obviously ain't worth whatever he's asking. So,
well, he had a chance to go to the Browns, who was trying to give him something of a semblance to what he was asking, but he turned that down. I mean, I don't blame him though, because who wants to really go to the Browns?
I'm not. Yeah, no, I don't blame anybody for not wanting to go to the Browns. They fire coaches and GMs every other season, So yeah, you might work for the particular defensive coordinator this year, but there ain't no telling if he's going to be there next year. So yeah, I wouldn't want anybody to go to the Browns. All right, Sensei says, I think Tack and Dante will feed well off each other. They're both are aggressive. Yeah, and it seems like Tack needs that kind of person. Yeah. And I'm going to go ahead and call it. If Tack needs that to produce, then he's not worth a huge contract. Does that make, you know what I'm saying? Like if he has to have somebody else to fire him up and get him going, then he can take his talents to LA or the Raiders or something like that next year, because I want somebody who don't need the other people to motivate him, basically.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see what the Falcons are going to have to be able to keep anybody. I mean, they don't mind cutting guys and having a lot of dead cap.
Yeah. They're going to have to do a lot of reworking the contracts.
Yeah.
Yeah, with Jamal, yeah. They're going to have to do a lot of reworking the contracts. Anybody who has signed as of recently is probably going to get their contracts pushed back some, because as I understand it, they're already like 40-something million in the hole going into this season.
They're going to have a lot of money that they're going to have to figure out how to deal with going into 2021. Now, I'm going to say this here. They cut Jamon Brown, which gives me some confidence that they may be trying to go back to more outside zone. I mean, you heard Alex Mack harping on it a lot. And if they cut James Carpenter, that for sure tells me that they are swinging back to the outside zone way. At least that's what I would believe, because they got them big guys for those power runs.
No, exactly. Right. And the power runs didn't produce anything, and I wonder if that was trying to make Dirk Cutter a little more comfortable. I don't know, in his first year, but, and maybe they felt like if it had produced something, maybe they would have went that way. It didn't produce anything. So, because last year you definitely didn't have the backs for a power running game.
Yeah.
You had scat backs is what you had, All right. So looks like I'm getting called out in the chat. So we're going to speed through some of these here real quick. Anthony Wright says, you saw the speed and athleticism on play and Harris's wingspan, those long arms. I really believe Charles Harris can start and shine if Tack pouts and doesn't play well. That's a possibility too. And it'd be really interesting, especially down the stretch, if they start playing Harris more, because I believe he'll be a cheaper option than Tack McKinley, possibly.
Yeah, yeah.
But Speed Falcon says, do you think Sark is better than Dirk? Sark might have been creative, kind of, but he didn't really seem like he had a good flow. Like, his games didn't really flow very well. So, Toby, you might want to adjust your camera down, somebody.
Oh, there.
Yeah, there we go.
My bad.
Are you good? All right.
On slip.
Yeah. Fred Buzz says, Matt Ryan's never had a tight end like Hayden Hurst that's fast enough to go deep. Matt will destroy defenses. That's something that's an interesting thing that he brings up there. I mean, I saw a clip on NFL Network where they were talking about the fastest player on the Ravens team last year was Hurst at 20.5 miles an hour on one of his touchdowns. So that's faster than Lamar. That's faster than Hollywood Brown. So it'd be interesting to see how that works, if they can get that worked in.
His speed definitely has popped off the screen.
Oh, yeah.
And if that continues with the speed that we already have, it's over for a lot of teams. And I'm starting to believe that because you're not going to have a lot of crowds or none at all, we may see a lot more no huddle from Matt Ryan. A lot of fans have been clamoring for that.
That would be a welcome sight for me. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
That would be definitely a welcome sight. Twisted Torch TV says Dante is going to teach him the different moves to use, and that's something that they've already talked about. So that'll be interesting to see how that transpires with him and Tack. Jazzy Jeff's over here. JR, if Tack gets double-digit sacks, you got to shave your beard. Deal? I'll shave my beard when Tack cuts his dreadlocks, okay?
Deal.
Okay?
Which he hadn't done.
Which he ain't done. He didn't cut his dreadlocks, so I am not shaving my beard. And then William Paul says, that beard is safe then. I appreciate you, William. Y'all don't want to see me without a beard. I look like a 12-year-old boy without a beard. That ain't no good. All right, now, this is the other one I want to get to. Brian Pinson says, BS, bro. The way he moves the pocket versus the pass and run. You got it at the right price, but that's an agent issue. Tack just seems too soft and needy. I think he was talking about comparison to Clowney. Look, I ain't saying Clowney ain't worth being on a team. But when Clowney views himself, at Aaron Donald money or Khalil Mack money or J.J. Watt Prime money, that's what I'm talking about there. And that's what he was billed as the next Lawrence Taylor. Okay? Like he was billed that he was going to come in and destroy the league. And he just hasn't. So I don't know if it's just too many injuries or just too much hype. But, at the right price, I would take Clowney all day long. But that price is definitely not starter money. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
yeah, he was a number one overall pick, man. Right. He has not lived up to a number one overall pick.
Not even close.
At all, guys. I mean, listen, 20 million or whatever it is that he wants, no, I wouldn't be giving him that.
Right. No, I ain't trying to give him that. Let's see. Somebody asked about Chris Rowland. Now, is that the Tennessee Tech, or is that the Tennessee wide receiver? Chris Rowland?
You haven't heard much about him other than he looking good in the return game.
Right. I think that's where he makes his squad, or makes his spot, is in the return game. But keep in mind, folks, with a person like Rowland, when we got Gage, he was supposed to be just a special teams ace.
Yeah.
He was supposed to be like the next Chris or Eric Weems, and he has worked himself into. This year could cement him as definitely a number 3 wide receiver. So, just because this dude makes it as a returner, don't mean that's where he stops. So that'll be interesting to see. Charlton Nash says, watch out for Hayden Hurst in the man crossing routes on the play action. See, that's the thing about Hayden Hurst that's got me really excited. He was in a a run-heavy system, obviously, up there in Baltimore. And so they didn't use tight ends a ton. And when they did, Mark Andrews had become Lamar Jackson's target,
Yeah.
because of early injuries with Hayden. So it'll be interesting to see if we can unlock that first round potential, of Hayden Hurst. And I believe we got the quarterback to do it, Let's see. Ryan, okay, this is from Ultra Shadow 97. He says, Ryan loves throwing to the tight ends. Hayden Hurst is going to ball. Yeah, Ryan he has enjoyed a tight end as a safety blanket, as a, third, fourth option, sometimes even second option. Yeah, Ryan likes a good tight end. So, Speed Falcon says, my bold prediction is that Matt Ryan throws for 5,000 yards and wins another MVP. I don't know if I need Matt Ryan throwing for 5,000 yards.
I think he will, though.
You think so?
I think he will for the first time in his career this season. I think it's going to come naturally, too. I don't think it's going to be forced, man. You're seeing how they're doing in practice, man. They've been throwing that ball effortlessly. And Matt, for whatever reason, this year, you're really seeing that baseball throwing form really pop out.
Yeah.
From being with, Tom House and Adam Duday.
Right.
You're really seeing that in his third year, really being with those guys, man. It's really showing now. There's some confidence in that throw.
I agree with you there. The film that I've seen, it's really looking like the ball is jumping out of Ryan's hand.
Yeah.
He had that 1 year, I think it was the first year of Sark. It just seemed like every throw he threw was very almost lethargic in a way.
Yeah.
But these past few years you hadn't seen that. It really looked like the ball is just jumping out of his hand quite a bit.
Yeah.
Let's see. Nahum R says, how do you think the division games will go down? I think this year, we've always played our division pretty good, and I think we're going to win more than we lose in the division. So I can't say yet. I'm not going to sit here and give you who we like number wise, but I think we win more than we lose in the division. Dan Quinn's always been pretty good against the division. Archangel says Clowney is washed up. That's possible. I'm just saying people aren't necessarily beating down his door. I Am Jamal says Clowney isn't even worth Grady Jarrett money. I agree there. Archangel talks about he wanted Yannick Ngakoue, the pass rusher out of Jacksonville. And that leads me into a topic that I wanted to bring up. This week you've seen Yannick Ngakoue get traded. You've seen Leonard Fournette get released. And you've had rumors of Alvin Kamara, like the Saints are willing to trade him. And, of course, everybody's like, sign this guy, play that guy, get this guy. Folks, this ain't Madden. You know what I'm saying? As far as adding another running back, we got a full stable. And as Toby said earlier, it's a good-looking stable.
Yes, sir.
And these teams release and or are willing to trade players for very good reasons. You don't just give away good players. You know what I'm saying? They either are disgruntled or want too much money or their skills have diminished.
Which Alvin Kamara is the second one you said, want too much money. He wants Christian McCaffrey money.
Right.
And the Saints say they're willing to pay him top 5 running back money, but they're not giving him no Christian McCaffrey. He didn't even have 1,000 yards last year.
Right. That's the thing.
Actually took a step back.
Right, and that's the thing that you have to realize in a Kamara. Kamara benefits from Peyton and Breeze.
Yeah.
How many more years you got Breeze? This year? Maybe next? So why are you going to sink that kind of money into a guy who obviously clearly benefits as much as he does from Peyton and Breeze?
Mm-hmm.
He's just, I don't know. I don't see where he's worth a Christian McCaffrey type contract. Christian McCaffrey got the contract he got because he is their offense.
Yeah.
Flat out.
He did earn it. He did earn it.
And so with that being said, you pay a guy like Christian McCaffrey, who is like the absolute focal point of your offense. With the Saints, I hate to say it, you talk about a creative coach. As much as I don't like Sean Payton, he is a creative individual.
Yeah.
How many guys have left the Saints to not be the same person? First one I could think of is Jimmy Graham.
Yeah.
You know, when he was with the Saints, he was a feared tight end. I couldn't stand seeing him dunk on the goalpost because of how well he was used in that organization.
Yeah.
He went to Seattle and then to Green Bay and pretty much just disappeared. He became an average tight end.
Yeah, he wasn't the same player. Now, I'm not going to lie. Now, when he was out on the market, he was somebody I was kind of looking at. But when they made that Hayden Hurst move, I was like, okay. Never mind.
Right. I'd much rather have Hayden Hurst than Jimmy Graham. But, and then I seen people like talking about picking up Leonard Fournette. Where are you going to use Leonard Fournette? You talk about another guy who got overvalued big time. You know, getting drafted number 3 overall when, you know, they could have taken, I think, Mahomes that year or somebody else. There was another decent quarterback that they could have taken, but no, they wanted to stick with Blake Bortles. No, Leonard Fournette never lived up to the billing. And the fact that nobody picked him up off of waivers.
Right. That tells you all you need to know.
That tells you all you need to know. That tells you all you need to know right there. Okay? Nobody picked him up, and he'll probably sign somewhere, but it'll be for pennies on the dollar, so to speak.
Yeah.
So, no. I think as far as our roster goes, we are pretty set. I know there's a Twitter account that every other day is talking about sign Clay Matthews. I don't need over-the-hill Clay Matthews. I'm not exactly sure why they think that would be an upgrade to anywhere. You know, I like the roster composition that we have right now.
Yeah. Well, I'll say this, man. Listen, until the Falcons win the Super Bowl, you know any player that's out there that seems like they can get you something, Falcons fans are going to want them on this team.
Oh, of course. Oh, yeah, for sure. You know, but I don't mean to sound like I'm trying to blast anybody.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it just seems so funny that anytime any name gets released, we automatically jump on that name, not necessarily looking at the reason why that player got released or why that player got traded, you know.
Right.
So, let's see here. We're gonna go into I'm trying to pick up. Okay. House Snipes 2 says, what is our weakest position on our team? What do you feel like is the weakest position? If you could shore up something else, what would you like to shore up?
Boy. Wow, that's a tough one.
It is.
You know what? I'm still kind of iffy. I like what we did with cornerback, but I'm still not feeling as confident, and maybe that's because I'm not as high on Isaiah Oliver. That could be the case. I still feel like even with the Darqueze Dennard signing, there's some more things we could have done there. I would have loved to have had Logan Ryan.
Yeah, I'm with you. I would have liked to have had a more starting caliber veteran. I know we got Bleedy Ray Wilson, and I'm glad we got Bleedy Ray Wilson back. But I would like to have had a Logan Ryan or a more solid veteran presence in that room, even if your plan was to start the younger guys,
right?
Just in case that blows up in your face. And I guess if it does blow up in your face, I guess they're just going to play more big nickel. I don't know. I'm not sure. I guess they're really hoping that big nickel, because that's where your secondary experience is right now.
Yeah, I think that's what they are hoping for, because you can do so many things with Ricardo Allen and DeMonte Casey.
Oh, yeah.
Those are guys that can play corner, roll, slot roll, anything like that.
Yep. I agree. I think that they're counting on the safety experience with Ricardo Allen and DeMonte Casey being the deciding factor there.
Right.
Let's see here. Hey, Down Yonder Sports, said Jimmy. There's Jimmy. Wonder if he was going to jump in with us tonight.
Yeah.
He says, we know Dirk Cutter loves his tight ends, could possibly be a Pro Bowler this year, and yes, we have the QB to do it. And that is the truth. That is very much truth. We do have the QB to do it. Anthony Wright says, just putting this out there, I thought I really didn't, though I really don't care, is it being reported that Alvin Kamara has missed the last 3 practices with conflicting reports as to why? Yeah, no, I mean, one minute you hear reports about him missing 3 practices due to contract issues, like wanting a bigger contract, and then he come out and say that he isn't holding out or he didn't miss no practices. So who knows what's really going on over there? Oh, did I lose you? No, okay, you're still there.
Yeah, no, I'm still.
But anyway, so yeah, like I said, hey, our biggest rival has problems, so that's a them problem, right?
Right. That's a problem right now that we don't have.
That's right.
We took care of Julio Jones, and now him and Matt Ryan are connecting like they are just straight on fire, and that's what you want to see.
That's it. William Paul says biggest improvement on offense is going to be in the red zone. They're going to average no less than 30 a game. Wow, that's bold right there. Yeah, I mean, I think that's where Todd Gurley is going to shine as being your lead back. I mean, nothing against Devontae, but he just didn't have the power to really do some damage in the red zone. Like, you had to get him some space. Same thing with Tevin Coleman. Coleman had the speed, didn't necessarily have the power. Now they finally have some backs that I've been wanting them to get. They have some, power backs, but their main guy this year is going to be obviously Todd Gurley, backed up by Brian Hill. Both of those guys are bigger backs that have the power but also have the speed. So I am really, truly impressed with the journey that Brian Hill's career has taken so far. And that's one of those deals that really makes me smile. A guy who, gets drafted, gets put on practice squad, poached by another team, and then released, comes back. It's just a good journey. And I love to see those kind of stories. So let's see. Falcons Joe says, I think the young cornerbacks will step up this year. I hope so. Especially freaking Isaiah Oliver. Like, I think this is his make or break type year. Because, realistically, he should be the lock, a lock at a corner spot. Second round pick. We shouldn't even be having that question. But we've had. But here we are still, yet again, having that question. Let's see. Floyd Donnelly says defense is going to be special. That's the hope.
I hope so.
That's the hope.
So.
If our defense is special, then we got a real good chance to go all the way, flat out. Because as much as we may bemoan the offense last year, lack of creativity or 50-plus sacks or whatever it was, the offense wasn't a problem. Even with all that, the offense wasn't a problem last year. And I only expected the offense to be better this year.
Yeah.
So, let's see. Archangel says, Oliver got more competition at the QB position. He has to step up. And I think he realizes that, so watch Oliver become a beast. I hope so, man. I really hope that he steps up big time. He says, Archangel says, should have cut Freeman, not Coleman. Sorry, not sorry. Well, you had just had paid Coleman or Freeman. So, that unfortunately, that was a money game right there. Sometimes the money game makes for bad decisions, Speed Falcon says, do y'all think we will sweep the Aints this year? Because we almost swept them last year with a banged up roster. Now a vastly improved roster. Do you think we sweep? I think we got a better chance of sweeping this year than we have in previous years. But like us, they didn't change anything really on their coaching staff either. So it'll be interesting to see. I think the division comes down to us or the Saints, at least this early on is the way I'm feeling.
Yeah.
J-Dog says, what's good, Dirty Bird Nation? What's good, J-Dog? How are you, sir? Let's see. Fred Butt says, Gurley will have 1,000 yards and 10 touchdowns. 10 touchdowns, maybe. I don't think he's getting 1,000 yards. I think, like, if the way they have used him in camp is any indication, they do not plan to, like, workhorse him. It definitely seems like it's going to be a platoon this year for sure. Let's see. I Am Jamal says, who will get a head coaching job first, Jeff Ulbrich or Raheem Morris? If the defense does well, I believe Raheem Morris will get.
Yeah.
He's already got head coaching experience in Tampa. So I think Raheem Morris would get calls before Ulbrich would, in my opinion.
I don't think Raheem makes it out of this year if this defense, because of what he was able to do in the second half of the season with that defense, and if that continues this year, I think he's gone in 2021.
Now, I did find it really interesting that they came out and said that they still plan on letting Ulbrich call first and second downs. And
what he did last year. He did the second half of the season last year. Yeah.
I honestly figured, and this is, but just maybe naive of me, but I honestly figured that with Raheem Morris taking over, that he would just take over, just would fully assume the role of defensive coordinator, and that meant play calling as well. But I guess they had a good enough chemistry to where they decided to keep that framework.
Yeah, and they did. I mean, it was masterful, actually. I mean, you have two guys coming together like that. Of course, remember now, they tried this already. They had tried it against the Arizona Cardinals.
Right.
If you remember when Dan Quinn, Jeff Ulbrich, Raheem Morris, and Jerome Henderson were all trying that out. So they went to it in the second half of the season with just those two, and it worked well. I mean, I don't see any reason to change it. Plus, you give other offenses now, they got to prepare for two guys.
Right.
Tendencies.
That is very true. So, I mean, I'm all for it. Anything that gives them an edge, I am down to keep it going. JL Hunt has said Hurst is going to be a beast, even as the tight end 3 last year. He was third in yards on the team. Okay, I didn't realize that. That's saying something right there. All right, David M says, how many defensive backs make the roster? Well, you got 4 safeties for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And that's in your 3 starting safeties and Jalen Hawkins. Then you got J.J. Wilcox, maybe?
I think he makes it.
So then you got, as far as corners go, DeQuez Denard, Isaiah Oliver, A.J. Terrell, and Kendall Sheffield. So I'm thinking, 9 defensive backs?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a lot. I think I'm going probably as high as 10, 5 corners and 5 safeties.
Yeah. That wouldn't surprise me one bit. So, yeah, there's a good bit of potential potential defensive backs could be, like I said, up to as much as 10, I think, this year. Wouldn't surprise me one bit. Let's see. Twisted Torch TV says Gurley and Hurst are going to pay dividends in the red zone where we struggle the most. I know, right? I see them constantly working on those back shoulder fades. Hopefully they can finally pin that stuff down. I don't know why. I always hear that's the hardest pass to defend, and I don't know why we can't routinely secure it. I don't know if that's one of the weak spots in Matt Ryan's game. I don't know. But I really hope that they get that nailed down this year. Let's see. Let's see. J-Dog says, yes, sir. Doing good. Can't wait for the upcoming season. Going to be a hell of a show, I have a feeling. I think so, and I'll be happy to have a little bit of distraction from the real world for a little bit. I don't know about y'all, but man, it's whoever y'all believe in. I hope you're prayed up. You know.
Yeah, well, it's been a rough one.
It has been that. Let's see. Archangel says, I think the defense will build off of the last season 6-2, fight harder for Dan Quinn's job. There was no doubt that they never quit on Dan Quinn, like flat out.
Yeah.
I just think the first part of the season, they just had either bad coaching on Dan Quinn's part, or the players just didn't fully understand what Dan Quinn was trying to get them to do. You know, so once they switched back to basically what they were doing before, things that made sense to the guys, you really saw that defense come alive. So, let's see. So Belafonte Belcher talks about Clay Matthews, Falcons rise up and wake up. I don't know about that, dude. he wasn't much in L.A. last year with the Rams, so I don't know. Y'all must be somebody gonna have to send me some clips on Twitter, because I just don't see it. I don't see it. Let's see. Michael says, you think Gurley's knee can hold up? That's been the big question, right? Throughout all the training camp, throughout this whole thing, you know, can Gurley's knee hold up? And we won't know, obviously. I think they're doing everything they can to make sure it does, with the days off, the load management. I think the deep backfield I think they keep all four running backs.
Yeah.
This year. So I definitely think that that they're going to do everything they can to keep him fresh, and we'll see if that pays out. One. Yeah, at least they're at least going to get him to week one. You're right about that. They paid the man $6 million. He going to tote the rock week one. First play of the game, boy, right up the middle.
Yeah, first. Boy, you talking about getting excited, boy. If that happens, it's first play of the game. Oh, my goodness.
It wouldn't surprise me one bit. Snap ball, handed to Gurley, and let it rip. You know, so Fred Butt says, do the DQ become more aggressive in terms of going for touchdowns instead of field goals and going for it on fourth down? I don't know. The numbers say that you should always go for it on fourth down. Like, after you cross the 50, analytically, like, you know, it says that you should go for it on fourth down every time. You know, if you look at stats and stuff like that. Now, being able to make that call, I don't know. We'll see. We will see. Let's see. GA Pyro Dog says, we don't need a Clay Matthews. Thank you, GA. I appreciate you backing me up there. Speed Falcon for Life says, before y'all go, what's y'all's record prediction for the first 4 games? Mine is 3-1 with the loss to the Cowgirls. I don't know. I think next Tuesday I'll be more apt to do predictions, I guess. Than I've never been a big fan of record predictions. But I'll go safe. I'll say 2-2. We'll be 2-2 the first 4 games. With, I don't know. I think we beat the Seahawks. I think we come, because something you said before we got going, we can't come out flat. You know, especially in a year where, you know, a lot of the stadiums you go to aren't going to have crowds or anything like that. You know, they can't come out flat. So, I think they win at home. I think they beat the Seahawks, and I think they set up the season right. But I could easily see us going, 2-2 in the first 4 games. What about you?
I say 2-2. I say we beat Seattle and we beat Chicago. We lose against Dallas and we lose against Green Bay because they're on the road. But if we come out the way that I'm hoping we come out against Seattle, I'm going 3-1.
Yeah,
and that means
if we look good against Seattle, then the only one I'm worried about in that first 4 block may be Green Bay.
Yeah.
But I'm not 100% worried about Green Bay with Matt LaFleur up there, really, because it doesn't really seem like him and Aaron Rodgers are on the same page yet. And, you know, when you draft a quarterback in the first round, that sends a clear sign. You know what I'm saying? So, heck, we may come out 4-0. Who knows?
Hey,
But,
who knows?
Toby, we have bumped up on an hour, my friend. We have once again come into a show where we didn't think we had much to talk about and easily talked for an hour. So that tells you how much we love our Falcons. But as always, Falcons fans, y'all can find us on Twitter. I'm at Grimm1128. That's GRIMM1128. Toby D.
Yeah, Toby D, 1991, all day.
That's right. You'll find a link down in the show notes. We've got a new merchandise store. Not that we've ever been one to push merchandise, but we've had a few people commented here or there about stuff like our shirts and stuff like that. So if y'all want any of that, the link is in the show notes down below. It's a Spreadshirt website, a little bit better of a layout than what we had before. So, but yeah, just give that a look if you want to. No big deal if you don't. But we always appreciate y'all joining us. And as always, Falcons fans, rise up.
Rise up.
Okay, it wasn't too bad.